on KBLA. James Farr's on the mic, lifting up the people, keeping hope in sight. With Altadena spirit, he fights the good fight, speaking truth to power, shining the light. Flames try to break us, but we're standing tall. Lost our homes, but we ain't lost at all. Through the smoke and the ashes, we see the sun. Altadena's fight has just begun. Just begun. We'll rise again, we'll build it strong. Through the struggle, yes, we belong. Hand in hand, through dust and pain, Altadena's heart remains.
Live, KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to The Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, and I am your host, James Farr. This is a show of record, and we are chronicling for the nation the devastating January Altadena Eaton Canyon fire, which claimed 18 lives. I want to thank you for allowing me into your space this morning, into your living rooms. You may be in the kitchen, milling around the house. Perhaps you're out in the yard, maybe even the garage, or if you're in the car on the highway. Thank you so much for allowing me into this space with you and sharing a little bit of time with me on this Saturday morning. Before I tell you about today's program, I want to invite you to follow us on social media at KBLA Talk 1580, and then you can follow me at James Farr Live. I'm also on all social media platforms, and if you've missed any of our previous episodes, you can find all 15 of those episodes at the KBLA YouTube page, and our podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts on most major podcast platforms. We are just now at 171 days, coming up on 6 months since this fire that it changed a lot, y'all. And it's still changing. And today at the bottom of the hour, folks are getting back outside. Things are coming back in some respects to some sense of, I guess, a new normal. But today at Loma Alta Park from 1 to 3 p.m., Michael Hagan's band is doing a tribute for Dina. It's a concert, and Michael will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. He's a Pasadena guy. I mean, if he could riff on his bass, I think it just might scream out Altadena, Pasadena. So Michael will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. And then at the top of the hour, we're going to welcome in Jeffrey Marino, who is the director of the California State Department of Data and Innovation, and they have a very interesting platform that is helping connect impacted survivors of this fire. The state seems to be listening. I know what y'all saying, so don't get too far ahead of me. I know how sometimes the conversation gets when we get to talking about bureaucracy, right? But I think in this instance, the state is listening, and there is something that can be done and something that should be done, but it's going to require all of our participation so that your voices are heard. As I said, we're just coming up on 6 months, and I spent a little time up in Altadena just the other day, around Lake and Altadena Drive, and decided to walk down Lake just a little bit. Wanted to, just kind of see what I can see a little bit differently than from being in a car. And, there are some things that are, debris is being removed, and if folks have not opted in, opted out to get their debris removed or from their properties, you have until tomorrow, or the county may do it for you, and then you're going to get slapped with a bill. So it's a lot still happening. I cannot ignore what I continue to hear right now. And I woke up this morning in a good spirit. I came in here with the intention of keeping our energy high and upbeat, but then I went back into my notes, and I just cannot ignore, and I'd be remiss if I didn't keep this thing centered exactly where it is. And that the truth is, folks, I know folks locally know, and folks listening across the country, across the world may not know. Not a lot has changed. People are still in a space of needing relief. I won't go deep into it, but I read a post on social media, one of the Altadena groups, and this particular community member, she said that the anger is just now setting in as, she revisited some photos and she saw some first responders near her home staging at Farnsworth Park, which is nearly up at the top of Lake. And she's just grappling with, they did nothing. I mean, not even a psst, hey, yo, fam, hey there, anything, right? Nothing was said to them. And I think that's what we're going to hear a lot more of when we welcome in the director, Director Marino with the California State Department of Data and Innovation and their Engaged California platform. People are upset. People are still hurting. People still need relief. And I just cannot let that get lost. So when we come forward, we're going to welcome in the director, Jeffrey Marino, into the seat. And I got some questions for him. I want to know what they've learned in their phase one of their program, what they are doing and what they are calling the deliberation department. And I like that language, right? Conversation can go in circle, but deliberation has an intent, right? It has an outcome. So when we come forward, we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to welcome Director Jeffrey Marino into the seat. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, your ancestors' favorite radio station.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to The Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, and we are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. That's right, I heard it through the grapevine that was not the Marvin Gaye version that most of you may be familiar with, but I happen to like that Roger Troutman version off of The Many Faces of Roger Troutman. He heard it through the grapevine, and that's kind of fitting for this segment as we welcome in Director Jeffrey Marino, who heads up the Engaged California. It's a bold new initiative designed to bring wildfire survivors and everyday residents into the heart of policymaking and the process. We're going to unpack and learn more about what Engaged California has been doing since the fire devastated both the Palisades and the Altadena area back in January of this year. Mr. Marino is a former Altadena resident, so he has not only some familiarity, he can connect, and it's refreshing when we have folks who are up in Sacramento who get it and understand what we're doing. Good morning, Director Marino. How are you?
Good morning, James. I'm great. It's good to be with you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and taking the time on this Saturday morning. But the work that you do, the work that I do is of the people and for the people. So that requires us to be here and meet the people where they are. And I think that's exactly what this program is doing. But before we get in it, I just want to ground us a little bit. Tell the audience your connection to Altadena.
Sure, and I love the way that you frame that, James, because that's government's not traditionally very good at meeting people where they are, and that's really what we're trying to do with Engaged California. So I'm happy to talk more about that with you this morning. Yeah, my wife and I's first home was in Altadena after we got married. We lived near the top of Lake Avenue, right there near the intersection of Lake Avenue and Altadena Drive. I was not far away from the Bunny Museum. There's a Chevron station right on the corner there that was my gas station. I think that was the one, maybe right after we moved, somebody hit the jackpot and got $1 million lottery.
That wasn't you?
It was, unfortunately, it wasn't us, no. But I love Altadena. I love that town. And one of the reasons why we were able to move there as newlyweds is because it was affordable, relatively, and in the Los Angeles area. That's a hard thing to find. It was affordable and it's beautiful. So love Altadena.
Yeah, I mean, just as you ground me in your location, and I sit here in the studio, and I'm honored and grateful to have my 17-year-old daughter, just recent graduate, but I remember one of her first piano recitals was at the church right next door to that Chevron station, and I don't think that landed until this moment. But I don't want to get the tissue out. This isn't about me or you, Jeff, Director Marino. This is about the work of the people. Tell us about Engaged California and what that platform is. Let's kind of get the impetus of it, and then we'll move through phase one. And I'm excited to hear about this deliberation. But what is Engaged California, and why does it matter?
Sure. I think it would make sense, first of all, to talk about our department, the Office of Data and Innovation. It's a relatively new department in California state government. The vision of Governor Newsom, he established it in 2019 in his first budget as governor. And our department's role is really to bring the voices of Californians into the way we design and deliver services in government. So going back to meeting people where they are, that is the mission of our department statewide. And so this Engaged California program was also a vision of the governor's. He was writing about it as far back as 2013 in his book Citizenville. And it was really this vision of, hey, we live in a digital age. We are all interconnected through our devices and through the internet. Why is it that we have to wait 4 years for an election or 2 years for an election to vote? And that's the only time our voices are heard, right? Likewise, with town halls and community engagement, all of these things are great ways of reaching the community. But the vision really is that with a digital platform, we are able to design an experience and open up access to more voices, and really hear what the people need firsthand. And it's something that we can do at scale. For instance, in this first phase of our agenda setting for Engaged California, we collected over 1,200 comments on the platform. And what's great about that is we can take that conversation. It's just conversations between folks, right? Talking about these very important issues that are impacting their lives and recovery. And we're able to take that and turn it into data. And we're able to turn it into data that our decision makers and our policymakers can act on. And so that's really the goal of the program, and what we're moving into on this next phase.
Well, I took a dive into some of those Excel sheets from the phase one. And when I tell you, I could still be reading. I didn't quantify that there were 1,200 comments, but I know it was a lot, right? And it really, I could hear actual voices. I could hear people in the community, and it almost felt like I knew the people that were talking because I've heard so many of the stories, right? And so, what has phase one informed you? What has it told you?
Yeah. I mean, and that's something that's really powerful about this platform as well, is that when we do hear and when we do listen, we collect that information and we send it out. We put it back. It's online. You can read the report on engaged.ca.gov. You can download the spreadsheet, like you mentioned, with all 1,200 comments. And if you don't mind, James, I've got a couple here. I thought I might read a few.
Please.
And they're just really powerful, and they tell the story, I think, of the lived experience of the folks in Altadena. So one of these was the lack of response and warning efforts for residents in Altadena was shocking. People did not get alerts until it was too late to get valuables, pets, or help their neighbors. We also heard the power lines in Altadena must be buried. That's in all caps. This should be the number one priority to prevent future fires caused by wind and lines going down. One of these really was striking to me. Altadena doesn't have a local government to speak for it, so our voices can easily be lost. We need better ways to organize and hold the county accountable for recovery and prevention, not just when the fires happen, but year-round. And so, it really tells that story of folks feeling lost, like they need help, not necessarily knowing where to get it. And it's truly my hope, and I believe we will achieve this, which is to make sure that these voices are heard and they translate into real action.
Let's talk about phase two. What is happening in phase two, and you're calling it the deliberation?
Yeah. So phase one was agenda setting, because the basic premise here, right, is we're not going to tell the community what they can and cannot talk about. We wanted to open up phase one as kind of like a community brainstorm. Tell us what your priorities are. And so that allowed us to understand, like the comments that I just read to you, okay, people want to talk about undergrounding power lines. People want to talk about the infrastructure of the community and whether or not, when we do build back, we want sidewalks, right? And so we were able to collect all of those needs and priorities during that phase. Now, going into the deliberation, we're able to take each of these pieces, each of these action items, put them into the platform and present them back to the people, invite them back in and say, look, it's time to put an action plan together. And this is your opportunity to decide, right? You're going to deliberate over. People want things fast, good, and cheap, right? But we know you can't get it all three ways. And so this is the opportunity, and it's incredible to see. We've seen it happen in other examples of this kind of engagement, not in California. This is the first of its kind in California, but it's amazing to see when folks are separate and they are expressing their views. They can be very entrenched and very polarized. But when you bring them into conversation around practical compromise and consensus building, they're able to be able to say, yes, that's important, but not as important as this.
Mm-hmm.
Or, yes, I need this, but I can wait 6 months if it's going to mean that I'm going to get this support that I need now, which is our priority. So in the deliberation, we're giving folks that ability to sort of decide and collectively create an action plan that then we can put together into another report, share that with the county, share that with the governor, and then come up with some action.
Well, I can see a couple of community members who are very vocal who says, I don't want to hear another report. I want some action, right?
Yeah, right.
how does this translate into action? We talked about shaping policy, influencing, because the general thought government moves at two speeds, slow and slower, right? And, people are purging themselves with information, reliving the trauma, having to continue to express themselves. How's that all come together?
Yeah, I hear you. And that was one thing that we were hearing early on when we were sort of shopping this around with community groups and getting feedback. And we were told by more than a few people, like, folks are fatigued. They've got survey fatigue. They don't want to keep telling their story. Now's not the time. I've got to give it to Governor Newsom because he said, I need to know. I need to understand, what the needs are. We're going to do this. And what we found was this incredible turnout. I mean, people really engaged. These comments, you saw, James, these comments are detailed. They are really thoughtful and productive conversations. And so, one of the things we learned early on in even the agenda setting phase was there's some things that aren't really even up for debate. One of the things where people were already expressing some consensus was that they needed access to mental health services, right? That this is about whole person care. And certainly in this time of trauma, we need that. And so the state of California is already taking action on that, making investments in mental health care support, free mental health care support for survivors.
Let's do this, Director. Can you? I got to move us forward, and can you stick around with us? Because I want to continue this conversation.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I appreciate it. When we come forward, we'll continue this conversation with Jeffrey Marino, Director of Data and Innovation with the State of California, Engage California platform, only on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay with us. We got your black.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580. Stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Be heard. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the conversation live, Altadena Rising. I'm your host, James Farr, and we are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. Folks, if you haven't downloaded the new KBLA Talk 1580 app, be sure to go wherever you get your apps, Android or Apple Play or Droid or whatever they call that stuff. Go over there, download this new version of our app. It's a new way to connect with us here at the station and let us know what's happening in real time. That track that you just heard was Michael Hagan's, the Michael Hagan's band, who's playing later this afternoon at 1 p.m. at Loma Alta Park. But in the meantime, we're going to continue this conversation with the director, Jeffrey Marino, who is the head of the California Data and Innovation Department. And they have this, what I think is a very cool platform, Engaged California. And it's really helping voices of folks that are impacted by the Eaton Canyon fire, Altadena, and the Palisades, to really center those voices so that they're not just kind of out there in the in cyberspace, so to speak, on the airways, but it's actually being tracked and with an intention of informing policymakers, legislators, and the like on what exactly the needs are. Director Marino, you still there with us this morning? Oh, did we lose the director?
Can you hear me, James?
Yeah, we got you. There you are, Director. So before we came forward, we were talking about mental health and kind of some of the things that you've learned through phase 1, and now you're moving into phase 2, which is the deliberation, right? And I kind of talked, folks don't want to do that so much, you know what I mean, in terms of you hear government say do this, and folks want action. So how does, if folks participate in this, how does this turn into action?
Yeah, it's an important question. And part of that, I'm about 4 years into public service myself. And so I came in with an outsider perspective, and it's been really remarkable to have both perspectives, because when you have that perspective of the government, we are the government and we are here to help. It's easy to lose sight of the fact that there's a lot of really passionate, really smart, really driven people that I'm working with, that I've met in the county government, here at state government, on my team, on the governor's team, that are driven to make a change and to make an impact. And so the only thing that's missing, or that has been missing, to your point, is the data. And the voices can be heard in a town hall. The voices can, go into a letter that you put in the mail and it goes into a black box. You might hear back, you might not. But what we're doing here is being able to center those voices, put them down on paper, and actually hand them to the decision makers. And we've been talking about this with those decision makers all of this time. They're all aware, they're all on board, and they're all waiting. They're anxiously waiting to hear more about what the people need so they can take that action. So it can translate into executive action, it can translate into legislative or policy decisions and changes, it can translate into additional funding. I mean, there's no limit really to the different actions we can take based upon the needs of the folks.
And your office is nonpartisan, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We are here to serve the people.
Okay. So folks, they're working for us, It doesn't sound like there's a lot of gatekeeping or any gatekeeping in that respect. And I was pleased to hear and learn that the governor actually has an appetite for this information and intends to ingest this information. And I won't finish that cycle of what he does with it. But so how do people get involved, right? Because I've looked at it and it's pretty easy, but there's some technological gaps, there's some generational gaps. Altadena had a community that is aging in place in this space of phishing and scams online and everything else. 1,200 people trusted the process, right? But what are you learning that's the difference between the regions, the Palisades versus Altadena? And I really want to encourage our folks in Altadena, if you're listening this morning, have someone participating in this. Trust me on this; it will make a difference. But what are you learning?
Wow, thank you for that endorsement, James. I mean, that's why I'm so privileged and grateful to be on your show today, because we really want everyone's voice to be heard as much as possible. Altadena is an incredibly diverse community, and you raised some really, really excellent points. There can be a technological divide, and we are saying exactly what you just said, where if you're listening right now and you have a parent who's aging in place, who is impacted, I'm IT support for my parents at this time in their lives.
Right.
So I know some of your listeners out there can relate to that, and totally encourage you to help them sign up, to go through the process along their side. You really just go to engaged.ca.gov. You can sign up now. The way it works is you sign up and you attest to whether or not you were impacted in the Eaton or Palisades evacuation zones, whether you lived or worked in one of those evacuation zones. We're not making anybody prove anything. We want a low barrier to entry, and we trust you. So that's another thing. That's a big thing, right? Is like oftentimes it's difficult to trust your government when they don't demonstrate that they trust you. So,
no, we all trust the government.
That's right.
That's another show. That's another show. Okay.
Well, I'm hoping, and that's, maybe it's a lofty goal, maybe, I don't know, but I'm hoping that in aggregate as well, that a program like this can start to help to rebuild that trust as we remain transparent. When we hear feedback, we post it online. And, the proof will be in the action. We'll see. We will see.
Well, and about the last minute that we have, Director Marino, again, let folks know where they can engage in this process, in this platform, and then your final argument. Why should people do this? Like, I'll give you the last 30, 40 seconds.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so go to engaged.ca.gov. When you land on that page, you'll see a sign up now button, and all we need is your email, and you'll be on our subscriber list. We'll reach out to you in the next couple of weeks with an invite to join the platform once it opens up, once we know we've got good representation from the community. And my final pitch is this. This is a great opportunity to have your voice heard, and to really make sure that the recovery in Altadena is community-led and community-driven. We are committed to supporting your community, and we want your voices to be heard, so they can be represented in the outcomes that we deliver.
That's Director Jeffrey Marino with the Engage California, the California State Department of Data and Innovation. And Director Marino, what you know, because you've experienced it, is Altadena will hold you accountable. So we're going to hold you to the words Absolutely. That you said, and more importantly, to the actions that you produce. And let me say on behalf of the community, we appreciate the work that you and your entire team is doing. It's not just you, yep. but understanding more about the background of the team. You guys come from other spaces, and you're not career government people. And so I see things right. moving a little bit more effectively. Thank you so much for taking the time with us this morning. When we come forward, we're going to check in with Michael Hagens and get some updates on what's happening. You're listening to Conversation Live, Altadena Rising. We are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580. Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this?
We didn't think so.
You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Is hard as hell. Battle anybody, I don't care. You tell. I excel. They all fail. Gonna crack sales, double L must rock the
KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, and I am your host, James Farr, and we are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. As promised, this is time when we normally do our updates, but as promised, I have the man who the LA Times says that he has a special brand of smooth funk. He's Altadena, Pasadena native, and an accomplished bassist and smooth jazz composer who has had placements in television shows like the community, and I would spend this whole segment running down his entire resume and bona fides. But brother Michael Hagens of the Michael Hagens Band is on the line, and he has a special concert this afternoon, which is taking place at Loma Alta Park from 1 to 3 p.m. and he's calling it a tribute to my city. Michael, good morning. How you doing, brother?
Hey, great. How are you doing today, man? And shout out to your station too, man. I really love that music that was playing, man. KBLA.
It's smooth, ain't it? You know, you might get to compose on some things too, but you know, Michael, we got a short window right here, right now. Why are you doing this event today from 1 to 3 at Loma Alta?
Well, because I wanted to do something for my city. And it's been so many things going on for residents up here and going through it since the wildfires. And being from Altadena and the community and knowing the story and the soul of the people up here and the music I have, it's a way to get everybody to come out and kind of get their heads straight and enjoy themselves and, you know, give each other a hug and support one another.
Absolutely. So you're asking people, it's like picnic vibes, right? Bring your lawn chairs, bring your blankets, bring your hats, bring your sunscreen. What else do they need to bring?
Themselves.
That's important
because it's going to be a spirit of love up here. I'm actually sitting up here now, and they're getting set up and everything, and it's going to be nice. They've got it set up where folks can also back up under the trees here by the backstop and what have you. And it's actually at Dodgers Dream Field. They redid Loma Alta Park up here, so it's really nice. And if you hadn't had a chance to get up here, it's a great vibe to come just meet, greet, and support, and enjoy some great music. I got a great band with some great musicians behind me today. And we're just trying to give back to the community what we've been given. And through my instrumental music we'll be playing today, it's basically my life story through music, having grown up in Altadena, California.
And I think it's important for our listeners to understand that Loma Alta, I mean, if you cross the street, you're right in the center of this devastating fire, right? I mean, it's literally right there. Loma Alta was spared in some respects and, you know, had to have some work done, but it's so good to see the park reopen and being used. We were both just there a couple of weeks, or last week on Juneteenth for the Altadena Historical Society's Juneteenth luncheon. And that's where I had a chance to kind of hear you riff a little bit. So again, tell us what time, where.
Okay, straight up Lincoln. Actually, if you're familiar with Altadena, Pasadena off the 210 freeway, just come all the way up Lincoln towards the mountains. And it's all the way up Lincoln, and you'll probably get detoured by Altadena Drive in Lincoln, so you may have to go over and come back around. And after you get through the sites that will really break your heart, you'll get to Loma Alta Park, which is just like another place right now. So you want some peace and serenity, and come out and just let it all go and enjoy yourself. Just some great music and great vibes, and share a special moment.
I'm looking forward to it, folks. I am emceeing this special performance this afternoon. I'm outside. Y'all know I stay outside. So if you outside and you see me, come by and say hello. Don't act weird, though. I don't do the weird stuff. Mike, we'll see you soon, brother. Thank you so much. When we come forward, we got a message in the music. This time goes by super fast, but I got a Saturday slap that's going to get y'all ready for the rest of the weekend. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. We got your black.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
Come forward. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, Conversation Live, Altadena Rising, and we are sponsored in part by Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. I think I was supposed to say my name in there. We'll fix that the next time. But, you know, this is how real radio happens. I do talk in cursive from time to time, and I try to speak the King's English most of the time when I'm on the mic. But the speaking in cursive allows me to really just talk I can't say that other word, but I say that word and I just talk it right. So I'm thinking about things that just really bring me into a good space and a good spirit. And, you know, I couldn't think of no other song as I was riding down Crenshaw the other day. And, it was Wilshire and Crenshaw. And I saw one of these, we used to call them the Slinky buses. And I saw the video and I couldn't help but laugh out loud over and over again. But I don't go as far as Frankie Smith, but we're going to let Frankie Smith bring us forward.
Give me a hoe if you got your funky bus fare. There's a double Dutch bus coming down the street, moving dirty fast, so kinda shuffle your beach. Get on the bus, pay your fare, then tell the driver that you're going to a double Dutch affair. Eat by full thumb, well I'll be darned. Here he comes, the double Dutch bus is on the street. You better get off the curb, move your feet. Bus fare. That's the way my money lasts. Ain't got no car to get around. When I go to work, I gotta go downtown. Now I miss my train. That's a double check. When I'm running late, no streets to blame. If you got a wife, you know I'm right. You got a special man, well I can understand. Uptown, downtown, everybody's getting down. Say uptown, say downtown. Well, I miss my bus. I know I'm late. I gotta do something I know I hate. I'm gonna walk to work. 15 bucks. I already got a hole in the socks. Go ahead and laugh. Okay, cause what I really wanna say, I got bad feet, my coins hurt. Top it off, I think the word. Let me tell you what I see when I'm dealing with a funky sidewalk. And let me show you how I walk when I gotta do my funky walk. And let me tell you what I see when I'm dealing with a funky sidewalk. I say, sugar.
That's that word I was gonna say. Shh, talk my sugar. There you go. That's talking in curves. KBLA Talk 1580. I appreciate y'all this morning, this weekend. Big special shout out to all those who make this program happen. Kim, Nyla, Reggie, Tiana does the graphics. Got a special person in studio with me. Again, I mentioned it earlier. She's looking at me sideways. She don't like my groove, like my Saturday slap. But proud of you, baby. Congratulations. Thank you for spending this time with us. Your 6-week internship. Brother Simeon back there on the boards. Thank you so much. Folks, we're going to have a best of next week. We are not here, but you need to be here. Angela Roddick Wright is up next with The Legal Lens. And my God, does she have a show for you. Till we have another opportunity to speak again, as always, Agape.